Hi, I'm Romi.
And I'm Nicole.
We are two businesswomen, two colleagues, two friends who had an idea and decided to do something with it. Over the past 2 years, we've built the Daily Drip, a media platform and community for the modern South Florida businesswoman.
From Palm Beach to South Beach, we've built an audience of thousands of local business owners, CEOs, founders, executives, and more. And we did it 100% organically.
Whether it's through our blog, weekly newsletter, social media, events, or even this podcast, our mission is to offer a daily drop of inspiration as you pursue your dreams.
People ask us all the time how we did it and why we did it. Join us as we bring you along our journey and the journeys of so many other incredible local businesswomen here on Her Pursuit. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Her Pursuit. My name's Nicole. I'm the co-founder of the Daily Drip, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Ms. Romi Wallach. We're also joined with three amazing Daily Drip thought leaders. We have Tracy, who is the Chief Advancement Officer for 211 Broward. Hi, Tracy. We've got Bianca, who is the founder of Talent Direct Agency. And we've got Ms. Tiffany Dhooge, CEO of Children's Harbor. And today we're going to talk about something that actually, Tiffany, you inspired from a LinkedIn post. We're going to talk about losing yourself in the grind and the impacts of leadership. So when you joined the Thought Leadership Program, you did this beautiful announcement post on LinkedIn. I highly encourage everyone go follow Tiffany Dhooge on LinkedIn. Check out her content. But you made an amazing post where you talked about why you joined the Thought Leadership Program. It really hit home for me because I was going through a lot of those feelings that you talked about. So why don't you kick us off with talking about how you lost yourself in the grind?
Why don't you kick us off? That's amazing. On your very first time. I appreciate that. Okay. I think, well, geez, what drove that? I think that when, you climb the ladder, you climb the ladder, you climb the ladder. And of course, your goal is to have the chair. I'll say it that way, to ascend to the chair. And what they don't tell you as they're encouraging you to keep on, don't give up. This is your ultimate goal. You've arrived when you get to this one place. They don't tell you how much it costs you on a personal level. And one of the other realizations was the concept that everyone has expectations for you. So now you've achieved this goal. You are sitting in the chair. You are CEO of this organization. You can do all the things that you've always dreamed of doing. And then you realize everyone has expectations. It's not just about what you would want to do with this position or this opportunity. It's your team has expectations for you. Your board has expectations for you. Your funders have expectations for you. It's almost like you lose a sense of yourself with every single compromise. Shave little bits of yourself off to meet everyone else's expectations so you can fit into their preconceived idea of what a leader should be. And with every single compromise, you shave a little bit more of yourself off so that you can fit into this box of what they think a leader should be like. And then one day you wake up and you don't even really know you don't even really recognize your own voice, I guess is the way that I would say it. And so when it's been about 7 years now, and as I think about my next, I need to take a step back and try to recognize my own voice again. Look at all those dramatic pauses. You said do not think about what you're going to say. Let me just say that. You said don't think about it. We're just going to have a conversation. And I'm like, let's have the most in-depth, intimate conversation that has ever been within 30 seconds.
Her first podcast, too.
You're hitting a really, something that really, I think it's impossible to avoid how you've described how you felt. I think everyone here listening. And so I'm sitting here not wanting to interject and keep listening to what you have to say, because this year in particular, I think it's felt like that I know for sure, Nicole and I, and so being able to have these conversations, I think is really important. And you sharing that is extremely important, because I think there is a misconception that once you get to the top, people only see the end. Mm-hmm. They don't see everything it took or what you gave or what you did to get there. Mm-hmm. And it only looks shiny on the outside. And so being able to say some of this I would do the same, some of it I might do different, sharing that and then reclaiming yourself, I think is really awesome. And I feel very lucky that you chose to do that through us.
And I think the pauses are warranted, because when people ask me, how are you doing all this? Like you've got 2 businesses, you have a 7-year-old. Like, how are you doing all this? And I have to really pause and think, I don't even know how. Like, sometimes I don't know how I make it through a day, through a week. And it's hard to find the words to describe what it feels like.
Right.
When you're in it and you're trying to push it forward.
Because you don't want to be ungrateful.
Right.
You know, God forbid you talk
Right.
about how hard it is, especially as a woman. Like, you're not allowed to do that. You need to be grateful all of the time.
Right.
I think that's actually a quote from the Barbie movie. Did I steal? Someone's coming after me.
You can be grateful, but that doesn't negate the reality of your situation.
Right.
Yeah, like Tracy, you had quite a year. You had such a hard year where you went through a lot of feelings of burnout. Like, talk about what that was like for you this year.
Yeah, actually, it was the last 2 years, and took some time off this year for it as well. And honestly, I always say that it's always about our whispers. Our internal self will whisper to ourselves. Will we listen? I didn't. And the whispers become louder and louder until eventually it will manifest into your physical being. And I just realized that I needed to take a step back. I love what you said, Tiffany. It's like I lost my voice in a way, and it kept shaving off. And I am a perfectionist, a recovering perfectionist. Look out for my blog. And so it's not just taking time off. You have to do the work, the internal work. And so that's what I did. And I've been supported in doing so.
You're right. The whispers are there if you really pay attention to them. Like, I know what my whispers were. Like, Bianca, when you had some of your darkest moments in running your agency, like, what were some of the signs?
I have quite a few signs, and I recognize them so much earlier now. Some of the physical signs are I hurt myself. Like stubbing my toe or like running my elbow into something. I'm a perfectionist in everything that I do. So if I go and grab something and really knock my elbow into something, that's usually a sign for me. Okay, slow down. Something's not working. I can read it in my emails. Like English is my second language, but all of a sudden when I'm stressed and I write, apparently it's like my fourth language because I'll like skip entire words or sentences or just don't, there's like little like telltale signs that you just like, okay, slow down. Step back and like figure this out. And then I have insomnia, 100%.
Insomnia. Yes. Oh my God. The loss of sleep that comes with like running a business or entrepreneurship or leadership of any kind. I mean, the loss of sleep is it almost just exacerbates everything. It's like a symptom of it. And then it makes it all just that much worse.
You don't love waking up at 2:30 in the morning and ruminating about all the things you should have done better, you could have done better, what you need to do tomorrow, and realizing that there's nothing you can do about it in the moment. But I'm just going to keep doing this over and over again while being distracted by the snoring dog and husband. Like, it's like, there's no sleeping here.
I would just get up and start doing emails or drive to work pre-COVID.
You mentioned something that I think is worth going back to, only in that you talk about how we're supposed to be grateful. I think the other part too is, as women in particular, at least I feel this way, is that it's not just about being grateful, but it's also the effort to make it look like it's all manageable and easy. Like it's not taking its toll. I got this. I got the 2 jobs. I got the kids. I got it. It's all, I'll get it all done. And this sort of like bravado and not being real about the fact that it is literally killing you from the inside out, and whether it's sleep, whether it's eye twitches, whether it's loss of hair, but you don't want it. Like, you just keep going, and people would say, I don't know how you do it. Same like Nicole. And I'm like, I don't know that I am. I'm like, I don't even, I'm so in it right now. I don't even know what I'm doing, like, like for me, signs were like, I started to notice spaces where I wasn't showing up the way I know I can and should. And so all of a sudden I was doing a lot of things, and instead of doing some things well, I was kind of doing everything okay. I was keeping it all afloat, but I wasn't really feeling super good about what I was actually doing because I didn't even have the time to do it well.
That's a good one. Overcommitting. Yes. That's a really good one. I think that also is actually a telltale of stress. Yes. I think when you overcommit, I can do that too. Oh yeah, let me help you. Yeah, what do you need? Okay, and then all of a sudden everybody's problems are like my problems, and I feel really strongly about those, and I need help. And I think it's like this like you're drowning. It's this vicious cycle. Yeah, and then you just like in a hamster wheel.
I've been having this conversation for the last couple of weeks, and it's a humorous. We had to have our headshots taken for this website, and so of course we chose like the headshot photographer. Everybody wants to get their headshot taken by him, and his lighting is phenomenal. He makes you look like you're 23 again, and I am intimidated by. And I used to shoot. So I'm very picky about photographers, and I'm very intimidated by this photographer because every single professional that I know goes into his studio and they look amazing. They come out and they look so fierce, like they all have like this ferocity, this to them. Like I can't even do it. Like it's like, let me do my eyebrow. And so I said, is this like the image of a CEO or a leader? Like you're supposed to be fierce. You're supposed to have it all together. And everybody leaves with this fierce headshot. I'm not fierce. I'm like I'm barely holding it together here. Is anybody okay with saying that they're drowning, that this position is costing them everything, that they're doing it because they want to make a meaningful impact in the world, but it's hard and it's kicking their butt. And I don't feel fierce ever. There's never been a day where I have sat in this chair where I have felt like I was enough. I'm doing it because what a gift that I have been given to lead in a meaningful way. It's not because I think I'm fierce. There's no way. And so I just kept making faces. Like I'm like, I do not take myself this seriously. I cannot give you a fierce face.
It's so crazy how much of our identity becomes tied to the results that we achieve, the momentum we have, the milestones we hit. And so it's like for me, being a business owner, it's like there is more to me than that. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, but all of those identities, they all came second to being the co-founder of the Daily Drip, to being the founder of Spring Business Solutions, to being that person. They all came second to that. And I think it happened without me realizing it. Like, it's not something that you get a notice for. Like, there's no notification that, hey, you're losing like whole chunks of your identity, of your life, you're sacrificing. And I think for me, like there were moments recently this year, I would say over the last couple months, where I don't think I've ever felt more alone, like more isolated in the turmoil, in the chaos of trying to make this go forward. I mean, thank God I had Romi, because there was somebody who could understand without having to explain it. But it took such a toll on my other relationships. There was such a disconnection, like with friends, with family, in my husband. And as much as he sees it all and is among it, like there was such a lack of understanding. Like I didn't feel understood by a lot of people around me, but I was trying to keep up and show up in the way that I used to be. But I've outgrown that person, but I haven't quite grown into who I'm gonna be. So I'm in this weird limbo of like, who the hell am I? And like, what the hell am I doing this for? Like, I have gotten so far from where I was and who I was. And it was crazy. Like, things I loved, like loved going to yoga, loved going running, and loved family functions or getting together with friends and all those things. And it's like there was a part of it where it just didn't fit anymore. Like I didn't enjoy those things to the extent I once did. My mind couldn't shut off from everything I had to do the next day or on Monday. I just couldn't appreciate any of those things.
It's interesting because Nicole and I actually had a very real conversation. We were just both like, we're not okay. Like, I'm not okay. You're not okay. Our families, just because my kids are grown, people make the assumption that like they don't need you. They don't want to be around you. Like, it's just different. I just don't have to carpool them, but it doesn't mean they don't need. And what I wrote a post about it this week because I'm going through some like job transition stuff, and I made big moves, and I was like, this past year, my non-negotiables all got negotiated out of my life. Yeah. Things that give me joy, that are how I can perform and do things and be good to my family. All of a sudden, I didn't feel like I deserved to get to go do those things because there were things I had to get done for work. So I'm obsessed with the ocean. I love to paddle. It is where my soul lives and anxiety goes to die. And all of a sudden, I would wake up in the morning and I wanted to go, But I would tell myself, like, are you crazy? You think you have an hour or two or whatever? Like, you've got stuff you have to get done for work. There's no room for that. And so my health, my physical and mental, all of it took a hit. And my close friends and family took the brunt of that also. Like, I started to realize, like, I'm shortchanging everybody. Everyone's getting the crumbs, the whatever's left. And like that, and most importantly, me. I'm getting what's left, and there's nothing. I'm like crawling into my bed at 7:00 at night, and I'm like, that's all I got. Like, I'm tapping out, and I'll be back at 5 to do it all over again. So I think it's the non-negotiables being negotiated out of my life. That was a big wake-up call to me. I'm like, this is just not okay anymore. You know, like, I got to do something because this eye twitch has got to go away. Like, we're going on like 5 months of this, you know?
Looking at your eye, like staring. I have not seen the eye twitch.
Oh,
I'm
it's
just
so real, guys.
I'm like staring at it. Are
You can come touch it later. I'll let you touch it.
No.
What I think is, as you might know, I hate any stigmas of any kind, and burnout, diseases, mental health, and actually, Dr. Christine Maslach has spent her lifetime doing studies from Stanford about burnout and breaking the stigma, and how it's sometimes not just a us problem, a me problem, an individual problem. It's everybody around you, and that we do, I'm sharing with myself, and I know other people feel the same, is we live in a society where we're celebrated to be a workaholic. This is our society. Well, maybe it's with our parents' society, and maybe it's our job to evolve that and help other people.
That's so interesting. Do you remember when we went to TEDx Miami? For Dr. Julie Radlauer, she did a TED Talk for TEDx Miami, and so a bunch of the Daily Drip thought leaders, we all took a party bus. Bianca was there. We all went down, and we went down to Miami, and we stayed for TEDx to support her. And there was one of the TED speakers was talking about how she was kind of like peak in her career. She was for one of the top leading consulting firms. They created a special position for her because she had just kind of revolutionized the way they were working with clients, all the things. And she got diagnosed with breast cancer. And she went and told her teams, and everybody was so, supportive, and there was such a rally around her. Well, she ends up overcoming it, goes back to work, and it was this thing that really like changed her. Mm-hmm. And so she found herself struggling with the pressure, the stress, and really achieving like textbook burnout, like clinical. All the things you were talking about, like the lack of coordination, brain fog, cognitive ability, hair loss, all the things, right? But she was afraid to tell them that she was struggling with this. And she's like, isn't this crazy where we live in a world where like cancer is okay, right. But like here I am, I overcame it, I survived it. Right. And like, I'm really struggling. This is harder for me in a lot of ways, but I can't talk about it. Yeah, God forbid you have burnout. You can't talk about it. But I guess I would go around the room and just ask, like, what for you was the most surprising thing once you finally made it to the chair or the C-suite? You're in the grind mode, so you're moving towards something. When you actually got there, what surprised you the most?
I could probably answer that 50 different ways, but the fact that you just said that, it does surprise me how seriously everyone else takes it. Like, it's an incredible opportunity. It's a privilege. It's a tremendous privilege, and it's definitely something I've worked for my entire career. But how people change when they hear your title never ceases to amaze me. I will often say I get to be on the leadership team at Children's Harbor, or I'm one of the leaders at Children's Harbor. Very rarely will I say, I'm president and CEO of Children's. Like, it's not something that I lead with. Right. But other people do. Like, everyone else is drunk on it. And I think it's because they don't understand how much it costs. They're drunk on the title, but they don't really understand how expensive that is to your life, to my kid. In a recent conversation with my son, who is an adult and has his own baby now, he said, my whole life has been about other people's children. Oh, wow. Knife through the heart. And I looked at my husband and I went, his whole life has been about other people's children, because we traded so many moments, and we traded so many moments for the mission that we felt so responsible for building, for sustaining, for everyone, to support everyone else. As leaders, we believe you're supposed to pour yourself into everyone else, into this mission. And we prioritized everybody else's needs over our own and didn't realize that we were also trading his, what's the word I'm looking for at the end of that sentence? But it wasn't just us that we sacrificed. And so as we spend time with our grandbaby now, these conversations are becoming front and center. How much are we willing to trade now for these very same roles? Because you really, in hindsight, you get to look back on all of the things that you have traded in lieu of or to support this mission that you've believed in your entire adult life. I'm babbling. Your turn. Say something.
That's a lot because, it's funny. Sebastian, just the other day, we have this little game I play with him where it's like, who do you love more, me or, and I always tell him, you always win because you're the only one that's been inside my belly. And so I will always love you the most out of everybody, right? And so then he said to me, instead of saying, who do you love more, me or grandma, me or dad, me or whoever, he said, who do you love more, me or the Daily Drip?
Oh, dear.
And I was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. But it was like out of the mouth of babes, he's starting to say things like, Mom, we're supposed to be watching a movie. You're on your phone. Put your phone down. And so I'm trying to be better at recognizing it's one thing if it's impacting me, my hair loss, my insomnia, my nerves, my stress, my eating habits, my everything. But I don't want it to affect, my son, my husband, my family, my friends. So it's like, it was something when he said that.
Why is it okay for it to? Let's just rewind here for a minute. It's one thing if it impacts me, if my hair falls out, right? If I can't sleep at night, but not if it impacts him. Why is it okay for it to impact you that way?
It's not. It's just one thing. That's one level of impact, right? Like that is 1 degree, right? But to think about how far the impact could go, it's kind of like when you take on that commitment to be the CEO, to be the founder, to run the business, it's almost like an agreement that everyone around you has made, whether they've formally made it or not. Right. It's like we are all embarking on this. And I don't believe that anyone is an island or anyone can do this, no matter whether they're in business with their partner or their spouse or their family. Like, they're in it in some capacity. Like, it's just this unannounced agreement that everyone kind of just does or does not agree to. And then maybe you find out down the road that they never did, or they didn't realize what they were signing up for. And they
or that
weren't
they
willing.
didn't sign up.
They didn't sign up for this and they didn't realize. So it's just, it was interesting for me that was the point where I realized that was the case. Yes. And I don't know. I think I've been thinking about it a lot lately. So that's kind of where this whole episode and your post kind of prompted all this. But Bianka, what do you wish an entrepreneur in the audience or a business leader in the audience who's listening, or they're an emerging one, what do you wish that you could tell them?
Like tell my earlier self / them. I think the biggest thing for me, because it's similar conversations also, because like the other day, I think I'm doing something for my daughter for school, and it came up in conversation, and my middle child was like, wait, you're going to river school again? You never came to my school. I was like, okay. So I had to think, because I have 14, 12, and 7. So when my 14-year-old was born, I was in the midst of building. So I think that, I do think there is some to that with, it affects your whole circle of whether it's family, circle of trust, your friends. You don't show up for anyone for like a long time. And I think that's very important. But I'm not sure, to be honest, that is so changeable. I think you just need to be aware because my hours won't decrease. Right. I'm not sure that I would change anything in the process that I took or the steps that I took. But I would change the awareness of what came with it so that I could focus. Because 5 minutes with your child, if it's spent one-on-one with real concentration, does a lot.
It's everything. Yeah. I have 2 thoughts on that which hit me, is that even as I reflect on this year and everything that we did, sacrificed, whatever, the way we worked, I don't know that there was another way to do it. I don't believe that I can't sit here and be like, you know what? I should have done, like, there was no way to get where we got to without doing what we did. I knew enough to know, and so did Nicole, that it wasn't sustainable. This was not going to be something that was going to continue. But I don't think there was another way. I think, like, even for all the things that it cost, health, whatever it was, I still don't see another way to do that. My issues are more around the fact that I did stay with my kids growing up. So when I had my kids, because of how I'd lost my father, I lived in a perpetual state of, I may not wake up tomorrow. So I don't know how many years I have to have maximum impact on my kids. So I always worked, but I wasn't driven for that piece. I was really, really involved. And so entering the workforce in my 40s, really entering it, came with its own set of insecurities and having to prove myself. And so my consistent drive to feel good enough, to feel like I get a seat at the table when I don't have, 15, 20, 30 years behind me in my career, that is what took its toll on me. But then also even my own kids, like my 20-year-old will say to Nicole, like, you spend more time with her and talk to her more than you do to me. And I'm like, oh my God, she's not 7, she's 20. And I still see that happening, but I don't know how else you get to, like, I don't think it's avoidable, but we have this talk a lot because I always say, I'm like, you can't get it back. So to your point, the 5 minutes of undivided attention is like a lifetime to them. And so I grew up in a family with entrepreneurial parents that worked full time together, but they were present at everything. Now, they didn't have cell phones and whatever to distract them, but they were there. They may have worked at 9:00 at night, but they were showing up and present. And it was those moments that stuck with me more than the fact that they were working so much.
I think you're right, Rome. And I think the other thing, too, that we're learning as the Daily Drip is growing and we're meeting so many business owners, so many business leaders, so many real spheres of influence in the community, you hear these little comments or pockets of conversation about just how hard it is. And then the Daily Drip became this safe space somehow in the growth. It became like the safe space where you can talk about that this sucks or this is very hard, and no one's going to question your abilities, your drive, your worth, your value, your skill sets. And I think for anyone listening on today's episode, what our hope is, because it could be very easy in those darkest hours to think that you're the problem, that it's me. I'm not cut out for this. I don't have it in me. I don't have what it takes to build this business, grow this business, lead this organization, sit in this chair, and that I'm the problem. But that is the journey and the road for everyone on the path. So it's not you, it's the path. And you just have to decide if it's the one you want to be on or not. And just accept that comes with the territory of these very high-level leadership roles. And so thank you guys for being here today on this episode. You shared so much, and I know that people are going to be listening to this and at very least, if nothing else, feel validated, feel seen, feel like it's okay to say this is hard. So tune in on our next episode. We're going to be talking about how we've each managed this, because it's not all doom and gloom. You don't have to like sit in the shit. You don't have to sit in this. Like, there are things you can do to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, make it better for yourself and everyone. And so we're gonna talk about unhooking from this. And so looking forward to seeing you then.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Her Pursuit. You can catch a new episode every other Wednesday. Please don't forget to subscribe or follow so that you don't miss out on any of the good stuff.
We love bringing you free content and value to help inspire and motivate you. So if you enjoyed this episode, throw us a thumbs up, leave us a rating, a review, and send this to a friend who you think would enjoy it. Your support is so important to us, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So thanks for listening. Talk to you in 2 weeks.